Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Google Analytics training brought to you by Alavar. Today, we're going to cover one of the Google Analytics sections, which is the traffic acquisition reports, and also discuss how Alavar can ensure 100% tracking accuracy while maintaining attribution for your website. My name is Ahmed, and let's start with the training. So within this training, we'll be using the Google Analytics 4 public property, which is a property that anyone can have basically access to. But you don't need to do this since you will have the ability to apply anything that we discuss throughout your Google Analytics 4 property. So once you open your property, you should go to the reports section and then click on the traffic acquisition report. So any report within this section, the main purpose of that report is basically to show you how your marketing efforts, your marketing campaigns are contributing to the overall revenue that users generate, or what is the effectiveness of these campaigns against the user metrics. So when you open the traffic acquisition report, you will find one dimension, which is the session primary channel group, and then you will have other matrices. Before going through the dimensions and matrices, I just wanted to call out that the primary channel group is basically grouping several marketing platforms that are similar and showing them under one category. So instead of seeing several organic platforms data in many rows, you can group them in the organic social, for example, channel group. If you want to know how the channel group works, you can basically go to this section and then click on the default channel group and click on any channel group so you can see what each one will include within it. In the default channel group, it actually follows what Google Google best practices. So if you want to know what each destination or each channel group contains, you can simply go to this article and then see how the structure look like. But what you can also do real quick is that you can actually, but you'll need to do this within your own property. That's why I'm doing this within my own property, not within the Google Analytics property. So you can click on the three dots over here and click on copy to create. Name this whatever you'd like, and then you can redefine a specific channel group or actually edit it, modify the existing one, add another conditions, and or also remove it entirely. This is totally up to you. And once you do this, it will be visible inside your reports within the acquisition section. But yeah, let's go back to the demo property and then explain. So just like as I just explained, the session primary channel group will have all the channel groups that you have coming into like your website, and then it will show you like how many sessions associated to each one. So for example, let's use the organic search. It had within this date range, which actually brought us to the next point, which is this filter. You can use it to filter for specific dates, whatever dates that you'd like, you can use them over here. And once you hit the apply button, they will be visible, or the date range will be applied to your data, and your data would look different. So let's go back to our example. In September, our website, or this website for the organic search, had this number for sessions, this number for engaged sessions. So engaged sessions inside Google Analytics 4 is basically any session that is more than 10 seconds. How many engagement rate? Sorry, what is the percentage for like the engagement rate, average time per session, and other metrics, more importantly, the revenue. So this is the overall revenue that came from the organic search um, channel group. Also, this is the conversion rate for the channel group users. You can click on the all events button as well and select a specific conversion key event or conversion. So you can get the conversion rate for that specific event. So for example, I just selected the purchase. So we can get the conversion rate of the purchase event for these users that came from the organic um, search or any other channel group. So yeah, this is basically the report and the date filter that we can use. Let's now talk about on what we can do if we wanted to filter out for a specific channel group, or actually if we wanted to add more details to this data. So let's say that we want to add here a source medium dimension so we can know, for example, what does the cross-network channel group contains. So all what you need to do is just click on this plus icon and search for the dimension that you want. So for our case, we want to see the session source medium. So let's use that. It will load and then it will show you all the session source medium against the primary channel group or the channel group. So now we have another layer of the data of what is included inside each channel group. So what we can do also to filter out the data, let's say that we want only to see specific channel groups, not all of them. So you can find here a filter option. So do click on this. On the right-hand side menu, select channel group or session channel group. Use exactly matches. And then let's say we want to see the cross network. So let's type that and email. And let's hit apply. What will happen is that Google Analytics will exclude all the other unselected channel groups within our filter and show us what we selected only, again, as the secondary dimension value. There is also one other thing that we can do, or one other option of filtration that we can apply to this report, which is using this search functionality. So in here, you can also type email, and it will show you similar data, but I honestly always prefer the add filter option because this option, we will have more control on the data that we see. But as you can see here, the email keyword got applied to the channel group, and also it got applied to the source medium. Now, let's check any other reports within this section. So you'll notice one thing, whenever you click on any report like the user acquisition or the user acquisition cohort, it will actually show you something similar to what we had in the previous report. The only thing that is different here is the primary dimension, right? So here, check this out. It is saying first user primary channel group. In the previous report, it had the session primary channel group. So this is the only thing different, but the total users, the new users, anything, any metric over here would be the same. The data would be slightly different, but the same structure will happen. To explain like what are the differences between the session scope dimension, event scope dimension, and first user dimension, I'd like to give you an example. And by the way, there are three type of dimensions within Google Analytics 4. So again, like the session scope, this is where the dimension will have a session and then the dimension name. So session default channel group, and then the first user scope, and dimension will come with first user default channel group, for example. And the last one is the event scope dimension, which will come with the dimension directly. So in this case, it would be default channel group without the session wording or the first user wording. So let's take an example that will explain how each one of them would be different. So let's say that we have a customer. That customer visited our website for the very first time through an unpaid Google search result. They simply searched for our website, and then they entered that website and signed up for a newsletter. After a few days, that user clicked on an email marketing campaign and returned it to the website and completed the purchase. So that's the first scenario, or the first two scenarios. And here you can see like a breakdown of the session 1 and session 2, how each one will contain. So in this case, sorry, let's continue our example. 1 week later, the same user clicked on an ad from Google search and then viewed the product, added it to the shopping cart, and bookmarked the product page. In the middle of the session, the same user clicked on a link with a UTM parameter called internal promotion. After a week, the same user uses the bookmark that they originally added to their browser and completed a purchase. So what will happen inside these dimension, like how each dimension will record the data, you can actually sense what is coming from like each dimension name. So for example, the user scope dimension show the user first discovery, like the first time when the user like visited the store. So the first user source medium would be Google Organic. Why is that? If we check back the example, the user or Sam have clicked on the Google search result organically without any campaign. So that's why the first user source medium would be Google Organic. The source was Google search, and it was organically clicked by the user. The user have not clicked on a specific campaign. For the session scope source medium, it will have the source medium that was available within the user session. In this scenario, we will not have one value. We will have several values because the user have performed several sessions. The first session would be Google Organic, similarly to what we have in the first user source medium. And then the second one would be email newsletter, because the second session is when they, after a while, they have clicked on the email pop-up and subscribed to the pop-up. This is when they have received an ad and clicked on the website through that ad. So this is when the Google CPC comes in picture. Lastly, here there was like an internal promotion um, click. So this is why the session number 4 would be partner affiliate, because it was an internal promotion. So each session will have a different source medium because the user have selected or performed that action through a different source and medium. This brings us to the last dimension that we have, which is the source medium dimension. So for that dimension, what Google Analytics will do is that it will look into all the source medium that the user came with, and then it will associate the credit for each source medium based on the attribution model. So here, the first visit would be Google Organic, the first session, where the user have clicked on the website directly from a Google search. Then for the second session, it will have the Google Organic as well, and then email newsletter. Later on within the same session or the session afterwards, it will have the Google Organic, and then it will have also the email newsletter, Google CPC, and then partner affiliate. So let's focus on these, and based on these, Google will actually credit the events for each source medium accordingly. And this is, by the way, what we used to have in Google Universal Analytics. In Universal Analytics, we did not have session source medium or session channel group or even first user dimension. Now let's go back to the GA4 property. So again, if you check the user acquisition, you would see that the only difference here are the first user dimension. It was previously in the traffic acquisition, the session scope. And then within the user acquisition cohort, it have a slight different matrices. But here, the primary dimension would be first user channel group. So Yeah, now you might have a question like why is that event scope dimension is not available and how you can create this. So the answer would be like Google basically uh, did not create a report for these. Like they have created for the session scope and the first user scope, but we can definitely create these and add them to this section. So I'll use my property in this scenario, as we'll need to have a property that you have an admin access to. So within the property section, click on reports, the same section where you already have opened. And at the bottom left, click on the library option or button. Click create new report, choose create detailed report. Select the blank option. Once you select that option, the report would be blank. So let's open the dimension from the right-hand side menu. And let's use or add source medium, and campaign. And you can also add anything else that you'd like the source itself alone and the medium. Let's hit apply. For matrices, we can add similar matrices to what we have in that other traffic acquisition report. Let's add total revenue, total users. Let's actually cheat and see what we have inside this report and replicate it. Let's add key events and key events rate. Let's add engagement rate and sessions. And mind that you can also group them or add the ordering that you prefer. So let's add total user, then sessions, then key events. Total revenue, and then hit apply. The report is empty, but this is expected since I don't have any data within this property. Let's take another quick look. Yes, that looks good. And then let's hit save. We'll need here to add a report name. So this report name is what that will be used in this section. So let's add source medium event scoped and hit save. And now we have the report created, but it's not added to this section yet. It's not added to the acquisition section yet. So in order to add it, we would simply need to hit the back button. And then in the live section reports, let's head on these three dots and hit edit. And let's search for our reports. So here it is. Let's drag this report and drop it whenever we want in the place that we want it to be visible. But for us, it would make sense to see it in the under the acquisition overview section. So let's add it over here and hit save. And please make sure that when you hit save, in my case, it did not prompt that option for me, but at some cases, it might prompt you an option to save these changes to the same collection or create a new one. So please select the save changes to the current collection, because if you choose the other option, what it will do is that it will replicate all of the reports you have in GA4 for the for the life cycle reports, and you'll need to delete them again. So just remember to always use the save to current collection option. And yeah, here is the report. If you have data within your property, you'll have it like applied automatically to historical data, and you can also use the same filters, the date filter, and also the filtration here if you wanted to filter for a specific dimension. Now, to have 100% tracking accuracy, to have all of your orders tracked and reported inside Google Analytics, and also to maintain the attribution of the traffic sources that you're using, you need to have a server-side integration to ensure that you're not missing any conversion. And this is when LFR comes in picture. So if you already have your LFR dashboard, or if you don't, so let me quickly walk you through on how to install the LFR app on your website in very simple, quick steps. So you'll need to go to your Shopify store and add the LFR app to your website, and then select the proper plan. Once you do that, you'll be prompted with this option, which is installing the Shopify source. They are easy few steps. So the first step is connecting your store. This is already done. Once you have installed and selected the plan, add your Google Tag Manager ID over here. See if you have a consent setup or not, and follow the proper steps. But for our example, we will not do that. Then we will ask you to delete any historical tracking setups that you had in place, since you're now going live with Oliver. We'll send you some instructions on how to create the custom pixel. You can simply copy this pixel code and go to the Shopify customer events section and create that custom pixel. And now this is what you need to install Oliver. Now let's specifically talk about Google Analytics 4. Let's add a new destination. So let's add a Google Analytics 4 destination. Once you do that, you will be asked to add your Google Analytics measurement ID. So this is, you can get this from your Google Analytics 4 stream. So go to Google Analytics and hit admin. Click data stream, and then click on your stream. Once you click on your stream, you can find the measurement ID found over here. So let's copy it, go back to Alavar, and paste it like this, hit save. Let's go with best practices, but you can also customize the events that you'd like to send. We always recommend having all the events for Google Analytics 4 running via client side or Google Tag Manager, and have the purchase tracking only enabled through the server. This enables us, or ensuring that we're tracking all purchases without breaking the attribution. So let's use best practices. Let's hit save. We don't have a consent setup, but if we do, you'll have this enabled if you enabled this previously from the Shopify source step. So let's hit save and continue. Here we ask you basically what type of transaction IDs you want to use, you want Oliver to send to Google Analytics. So if you have a Shopify store, you already know that Shopify has several tracking IDs. So Oliver enables you to have any option that you'd like. So there is this basic um, transaction ID, which is the order name. There is also the order number, which would be this number for this specific order. There are also a third option, but for us, let's use the order name. Product identifier, you can customize this by telling us which product ID would you like to use for your Google Analytics tracking. Would you like us to collect the SKU ID, or if you want the product ID or the variant ID? So you have all the options when using Alvor. So now let's use the SKU. This option gives you the ability to block some transactions from being sent to Google Analytics. So for example, let's say that you do draft orders. So draft orders are manually created by your team internally using the Shopify backend, mainly creating an order using this interface. So if you want to block these orders from being sent to Google Analytics, you can simply come here and then select that yes, you want to block some orders and customize this option and add a filter over here. So let's do sales channel and let's do draft orders and hit save. By doing that, we'll ensure that we're not sending the draft orders that are created by your team to any marketing or analytics destination like Facebook or to Google Analytics. This in the next section, it will ask us if we have any subscription items. So if you are selling any type of subscription products that get delivered to your customers on a weekly or monthly basis, you can click select the proper option. So if you do have that option, click on yes. And if you're using the unified checkout, check this option. Or if you're using a separate checkout, use that other option. And then choose to send these orders to Google Analytics or not. So you can send them, and also you can actually override the source and medium data for these orders in case you wanted to filter them within Google Analytics, or you can actually block them from being sent to Google Analytics. But for us, let's select no. Lastly, it will ask you to import this Google Tag Manager container. So let's download this for web tracking for our Google Tag Manager. And then let's go to Google Tag Manager at the admin section. Let's click on the import option and then select our container. Since I have already imported this container before this webinar, it shows me that there are no changes that needs to be done. So let me pause sharing my screen and then opening another file. Now we have the correct file, and as you can see, it is now adding all the tags, triggers, and variables. You don't need to do anything manually. So select the merge option and then hit add to workspace. Let's publish these changes. Now let's go back to the Elevor dashboard and then hit mark as completed. Since we have completed the step, let's go live now with the property. And that's it. We have went live with the property, the GA4 property tracking. So these were like the few simple steps that we just took. We just took care of our Google Analytics for tracking. So now let's actually see how the Elevor solution make sure that you have a 100% tracking accuracy, and also that we are maintaining attribution. So within the Elevor tabs or the Elevor reports, you will have a report called real-time activity report. Within this report, you would see any order that has happened on your website, any order that is placed by a user, and then you would see the order details. So let's place a purchase on our demo website and see if Elevor will capture the correct UTM parameters. So let's go to the website, and then you can see here that this is my test store URL, and then I am adding a UTM source with Facebook and UTM medium as social, and then let's actually add UTM term as my name and hit search, and let's purchase an item to see if Oliver will capture the correct parameters or not. So let's add this product to the cart, do a checkout. We add shipping and payment details. And hit pay now. Now, since this order has been placed on the store, we can go to our Shopify backend and see the order details. So you can see the order number and revenue. And then let's go back to the Elevor real-time activity report. So for orders to pop up within this report, it might actually take up to like few minutes, because what we do to make sure that we are not breaking attribution and we are enriching the orders that are generated on your website, and that we are sending all the information that we know about the user with the convergence, we do something called purchase grouping, where we will record any details that are captured by the browser while the user was on the session, like the attribution, the UTM parameters, even anything. And then we will also get that raw data sent from Shopify. So this order ID, any details within here will be also sent to Oliver by our server-side tracking option, in addition to what we already collected from this page. And then we will do our purchase grouping, where we will look like basically at the two events or the two instances of the same purchase, and then make sure that we are using all the details that happened on the web and the one that happened on the server, to make sure that we are enriching your data with all the details that we can. So this is why it might take a few moments for the order to pop up. So let's actually check a few more things within the acquisition report while we see the order popping up through this section. So let's go back to the traffic acquisition reports, and let's try actually adding or manipulating what we have inside this report entirely, like changing everything. So let's do source medium, session source medium, and then let's do campaign, session campaign, and then let's do the purchase events only. And if you actually clicked on this arrow over here, you would get the revenue that was generated from each source medium or from each row, and it will show us the highest values first and then the lowest. So we can see that the highest value that we have for this month, the past month, is direct none, users who visited the website directly. And direct none will appear when the users copy the URL or bookmark it from any other previous session and then uh, go for it directly. So this is when the direct none will happen. So the direct user have generated this amount of revenue the last month. The second uh, source was the Google organic. So this is also another option that you can use within this report. You can also click on the key events column and check for purchases only, and this applies to any other column. If you clicked on any column within Google Analytics, it will change it to be ascending or descending. So yeah, let's go back now to the Elevar real-time report and see if the order got triggered or is visible by now. So as you can see, we now see the order. It was generated on the website and it went through Elevar, where we track the orders via our server-side integration. And then we also did the purchase grouping. And it was sent to several GA4 properties. We have created this GA4-2 property right now. I already had this GA4 destination configured previously. If you clicked on the or expanded that log of the order, you would see that it has the same order ID that we have on Shopify. So in Shopify, we have the same order ID. And then you can see the source is web. That means that it came from our website. And the last touch UTM source are Facebook, and the last touch UTM medium are social. And if you look closely, you also see the UTM term as my name coming through. And you can see the other options or information that we have about the user or the transaction itself being added. And at the bottom of the log itself, you will see your destination. So it is here mentioned that the GA4 destination and the GA4-2 destination have received that order. If you have any other destinations that are configured within Elevar, they will be also shown here. And if there are any errors that are associated to any destination, we will also show it here. And actually, we have this other report, which is the channel accuracy report. Within that channel accuracy report, we do a very important thing. So I don't have much data within my Elevar dashboard since I have just created it and I don't have much sales being generated through my website. But what you will see here is that you will see a graph that represents the time based on your selection from this drop-down menu. And then it shows you, so I'm here using that plus 24 hours. So here you can see that these are like the last 24 hours and these are like the tracking accuracy. So it is showing 100% accuracy because I haven't actually got any orders. Then I disconnected the J4 destinations and then activated them. So the blue one is the new one that we have just created, and the purple one is the one that I already had in place. As you can see if in this view, you have a couple of columns. So inside this column, we have the time frame. Since we selected the last 24 hours, it is showing an hourly rate. If we change it to using a specific dates, it will change accordingly. In this column, we show you how many orders that are generated from your online store. Because you have connected the Elevar app, we will have that information. So say that today I have generated 3 orders, so the total here should be 3. And then how many of them did we send to the destinations itself? So it should be 4 orders, but here we're seeing that there are 3 orders only. So this means that there is something wrong. So you will get an instant email that notify you that there is something wrong with your tracking setup. So you can definitely reach out to us or start looking at your Elevar setup. Maybe there is something you have missed out on doing. Maybe someone have uninstalled the Elevar app or anything else. So yeah, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you have learned a little bit about the acquisition reports and also how Oliver can help you for your website tracking accuracy and maintaining attribution. Let us know if you have any questions. And yeah, see you on the next one.